Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special summer short edition of the Salt and Light Hour. I'm Deacon Pedro. As you know, we usually take a break from new content during the summer, and instead, we play some of our favorite conversations from earlier in the year. But sometimes, there are things that cannot wait until the fall, and this is one of those times. Today, we want to bring you some information about the new Discipleship Formation Program just outside Winnipeg, Manitoba. They are accepting applications now for their fall session. So we're going to be speaking with program directors Mary and Louis Richard in about 15 minutes. But first, we want to share with you a conversation that I had with Archbishop Michael Miller of Vancouver about a historic sacred covenant signing that took place earlier this year between the Archdiocese of Vancouver, the Diocese of Kamloops, and the TK'emlúps Secwépemc First Nation. That's coming up right now. Be sure to follow me on your social media. Just look for Deacon Pedro. And to listen to all our programs, go to our website, slmedia.org, or look for the Salt and Light Hour Catholic podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. We begin now with the Sacred Covenant. On Easter Sunday, 2024, Archbishop Michael Miller of Vancouver, Bishop Joseph Nguyen of Kamloops, and Chief Kupki Roseanne Casimir of the TK'emlúps Secwépemc Nation signed a sacred covenant with the goal of fostering healing and reconciliation and showing a deep commitment to truth and a desire to walk together. In May 2021, it was the TK'emlúps Nation in Kamloops, British Columbia that reported what they are now calling anomalies on the grounds of the former Kamloops Residential School, an announcement that unleashed a fury of emotions and brought the issue of the residential school system to the mainstream, and renewed a passion across the country for finding the missing children who attended these schools between 1890 and 1996, some 4,000 who likely died while in the 150 schools, according to the Center for Truth and Reconciliation. Some will even say that Pope Francis's visit to the Indigenous people of Canada in 2022 was precipitated by that Kamloops announcement. Even though Indigenous people in Canada have had a relationship with the Catholic Church since the 17th century, and many of their people have been Catholic for many generations, the signing of this agreement forges a new relationship between the Church and Indigenous peoples, reflecting a mutual acknowledgement of the Church's role in the residential school system. To tell us more about this historic agreement, I am now joined by Archbishop Michael Miller of Vancouver. Archbishop Miller, welcome.
Thank you, Deacon Pedro.
So maybe the first question I should ask you is, in general, what is a sacred covenant?
In general, a sacred covenant is not a contract. It's a kind of agreement, I guess we would say, between parties. And I think the word covenant is chosen to reflect its scriptural origins and background, that there is something more than transactional about it, that a covenant is about establishing or confirming or furthering relations among people.
Right. And I think that if we do follow the biblical meaning of covenant, that it is an agreement in that one party agrees to something and the other party agrees. So
Yes.
it's both.
It's both.
Yep.
It's a set of, obligations that each party assumes.
Right. And for listeners that maybe are not familiar with the background, what would you say led to this sacred covenant with the Kamloops
I think
Nation?
of course, the remote background are the broken relationships that appeared very clearly, beginning probably maybe 20 years ago between the Catholic Church and Indigenous peoples in Canada. That's the remote background. The more immediate background, of course, to this covenant was the discovery of the anomalies at the Indian Residential School in Kamloops that led to such an outpouring of just general sentiment in the public and among Catholics and certainly among First Nations people. That's the more immediate. And in light of that experience and the particularly the Chief Jules Manny, and Phil Fontaine were kind of on the lookout or wanted to find a means to further and foster better relations between First Nations and the Catholic Church, and the notion of covenant. Sort of that's where it came from, that we should do something.
Yeah, I was very interested. I'm curious to know what that first conversation would have been like when the idea of entering into a sacred covenant with the Kamloops Nation
I think
would have been like.
To be honest, the first conversations were not with me directly.
Right.
They were with James Barkowski, who kind of leads the Indigenous file, so to speak, for the Archdiocese. And
Right.
I'm not sure whether the notion of covenant was the first word that emerged, or whether in the desire to improve relations that it landed upon that concept that had already, I believe, been floated in some other jurisdictions.
Right. And for listeners who maybe don't know, who you mentioned, the one chief, and of course former Grand Chief
Phil Fontaine and Chief Manny Jules, former chief now of the TK'emlúps First Nation here in British Columbia.
Right. So it's important to note that. Is it fair to say that then the idea was initiated by?
Yes, I think from the First Nation side, also with Chief Roseanne Casimir,
who's the current chief. Correct?
Who's the current chief. They were, to use an expression, they were all in on it. They all saw that something could and even should be done.
Now, would you say that? I mean, obviously, since you were part of the agreement, you signed it. Agree that this is a very appropriate move as the Church begins to heal and the First Nations, the relationships.
Yes, I think it's not the only appropriate move, but it is, I think, a move that contributes to reconciliation, to healing, to truth, to justice, and so on. When considering the Catholic Church and First Nations people, I certainly do believe that. And we had a nice confirmation of that in the letter that we received from the Secretary of State when we celebrated together on Easter Sunday. And it says, His Holiness Pope Francis sends cordial greetings to all who are present for the signing of a covenant between the TK'emlúps Secwépemc Nation, the Archdiocese of Vancouver, and the Diocese of Kamloops. In light of the sufferings of the past, His Holiness hopes that this generous gesture will be a further step on the path toward truth and reconciliation.
That is wonderful that you received a letter from the Secretary of State, but it's the Pope.
Signed
right?
by Cardinal Parolin, from Piero Parolin.
Yes, he's the Secretary of State of the Vatican. Now, more practically, what are some sorts of statements or commitments that the covenant contains?
Yes, the covenant contains sort of a historical background and record, a description kind of what's happened. And at the end, there are commitments made, and among the more important or the primary commitments are the Archdiocese of Vancouver supports honoring and memorializing all of the Indigenous community's efforts to do precisely that for the Indian residential school. That we would certainly support that, even financially. We've also committed to historical research, and we've put a lot of effort into that. We have very good archivists who are working so that every child can be, in fact, accounted for who died at an Indian residential school. There are records found in various places that can be put together for that, and we're already engaged in doing that. We've also promised, if requested, to provide scientific expertise for now more sophisticated ground-penetrating radar, there are systems that are, they're just superior. They're better technically to be able to identify possible graves. We don't know. More than anomalies, which is what is reported.
Right, absolutely. And now, is there a hope that this type of agreement would be shared with, or that is something that other dioceses or other...
Yes, I mean, we've shared it. It's been certainly sent to the bishops of Canada. And of course, it's up to each individual diocese to see whether this is the best means to further reconciliation. It might be in some places, it might not be. And it really depends upon the First Nations in the area making the request that they investigate a covenant.
I see. And would you say, I mean, I think it does, but it falls very clearly as part of the commitments that the Catholic Church has made since the calls to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and even the commitments that have been made recently from the Canadian bishops.
Yes, it certainly does fall within those guidelines.
Yeah.
But I would like to emphasize, maybe every diocese is not in the position to do this. It would depend upon the local situation and the local Indigenous peoples, whether they would think that this is appropriate at this time for them.
Right. Now, this is an important step. I don't think I heard it described as the first step, but I know it's not the first step. It's one of, there's been many steps before,
I think
but
it's part of a
part of a
number
series.
Steps of a journey that
it's
began and will continue.
Right, but it's clearly not the last step. So
it's
what are
clearly
your
not
hopes?
the last, and
Are there any
commitments suggest that. They tell us it's not the last step.
Are there any concrete actions as you move forward that you hope will come out of this?
Well, I hope that besides the specific things that can be done, scientific, archival, and so on, that it will renew the spirit of peoples on both sides, because I think that also needs healing. Our openness, our willingness to understand others, dialogue, and so on. I hope that those are permanent, acquisitions of having signed the covenant.
So do we, and we were very excited to hear when this happened, and so I'm very happy that you were able to take some time to explain it a little better to us today. Archbishop Michael Miller, thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much, Deacon Pedro. God bless. Take care.
That was a conversation I had with Archbishop Michael Miller of Vancouver earlier this week. The Kamloops Residential School operated from 1890 to 1969, and at one time was the largest residential school in Canada, with as many as 500 students. The school building still stands today. It was in May 2021, after a survey with ground-penetrating radar, that disruptions in the ground were found, at the time reported as unmarked graves. Based on their placement, size, and depth, the assumption was that these were remains of as many as 200 children who may have died while attending the school and were buried there, instead of being returned home. These claims are disputed, and 3 years after the announcement, the decision to excavate the site has not yet been made. To learn more about the Canadian Catholic Church's relationship with Indigenous people and what led to Pope Francis's visit in 2022, go to our website, slmedia.org/walkingtogether. And also, while you're on that website, you can look for the Healing and Reconciliation section. So that's slmedia.org. Here now is The Spirit of Wisdom by the Richard family.
Intelligent and holy, it is of one nature, but reveals itself in many ways. It loves what is good, it cannot be harmed, it is so dependable. It makes us the friends and prophets of God. She has no worries, she is confident. She's clear, clean, and bright, she's a breath of God's power. She loves what is good. She so dependable. She makes us the friends and prophets of God.
That was The Spirit of Wisdom from the Richard family's 2010 album Calling You, and we're going to be speaking with Mary and Louis Richard shortly, but not about the music they produced with their 5 children while they were growing up, but about what that song makes me wonder. Do you feel called to learn more about the Spirit of Wisdom? Do you want more wisdom? I speak with people all the time who tell me that they want to go deeper into the faith. Mostly, they want the basic stuff. They want to learn more about the saints or church history or what the church teaches about sexuality or social justice. For some, it's basic catechism, or they want to learn more about the liturgy. Some, however, feel a deeper call, maybe to mission and discipleship, to be more than just spectators in the faith. But they are not called to religious or ordained life. And most of these people don't want to or can't go to get a theology degree. And honestly, I think that what they're really looking for, they actually won't get by studying theology. But they also won't get it at your parish adult catechesis program. If this describes you, then you're in luck, because the Catholic School of Evangelization in Winnipeg, Manitoba, actually in the Archdiocese of Saint-Boniface, has been providing adult formation programs since 1992. And one of these is the Discipleship Formation Program, where for 1 year, young Catholics live in community during the week, Monday to Friday, and study the Catholic faith, not just with the head, but also with the heart. The program is also designed to help them develop their personal relationship with Jesus Christ and grow in their missionary zeal through evangelization and ministry. It has been described as a sort of seminary for lay people. And so to tell us more, I am now joined by the program directors, Mary and Louis Richard. Mary, Louis, welcome to the program. It's good to see you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
Yes. Just so that we start and everybody understands what's going on. So the Catholic School of Evangelization, I'm sure people are maybe hearing about this for the first time, even if they're in Canada, even if they're listening in Winnipeg. So tell us what that is and how it came about, Louis.
Sure. The Catholic School of Evangelization actually began in 1992. We were just looking at that, and it's still going. It offers 2 main things. They have summer camps, which are well attended through the summer and a little bit in the winter as well. And the other one is the one that we're involved with. It's the Discipleship Formation Program, which is, you can ask more questions about that. But,
yeah, I will. So since 1992, and it was, I guess, started or founded in the Archdiocese of Winnipeg.
That's correct.
Well, actually, St. Boniface, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Mary's right.
Yes.
As she usually is. No, it's in fact not in Winnipeg. It's in St. Malo, Manitoba, which is a small town about an hour south of Winnipeg.
Okay, but it's in the Archdiocese, as Mary said, of St. Boniface.
Correct.
So in Winnipeg, we have,
yes, thank you.
Diocese, but some people might not realize that we actually have 3 archdioceses or dioceses in Winnipeg. So we have the Ukrainian.
Yes, that's right, the eparchy.
And then we have the Winnipeg.
I know. I find that also very confusing because basically in the same city you have the 2 main dioceses, St. Boniface and Winnipeg. But that's great. That means that there's lots of really good things going on. So in somewhere in a little town called St. Malo, there's this school of evangelization, and I guess it was founded for the purpose. Mary, can you tell us a little bit about why? I maybe you weren't around in 1992, but kind of like what the need is, or what sort of need is it serving?
Well, it's to help young adults primarily, but really anyone who had a great interest could come. But it's to bring us into a deeper relationship with Jesus, to encounter him, and to be able to really become his disciple, his follower, and learn his ways of touching people's lives and bringing this message of salvation to other people.
Right.
So we have a program that gives people an opportunity to live for a year in community for really it's 8 months, September to April,
Hmm.
like a university year. And during that year, we live together in community. Everyone, the students share rooms, but we eat together, we pray together,
Okay.
we go to classes together, and then they do outreach together and have recreation time and duties around the facility together. But it's to grow and encounter the Lord in each other and in our personal prayer time and all that this life
Yeah.
would bring in
So
that
that's
year.
really, so yeah, okay. So you're talking about, this is the Discipleship Formation Program, and that did not start in 1992. That's
Oh,
just a
sorry.
new, no, just to clarify. So that's a new program that's just starting this
Well,
year.
actually, it did start in 1992, but it took a break.
Okay.
It around 2008. They took a break and stopped it for a while, and it resumed 2 years ago in
Okay.
2022.
I have never heard of this. Okay, so I'm glad we're talking
Yeah.
about it. So it's a formation program, and I think we can talk a little bit more about that, but I think people understand what that is. But what I think is unique is what you were just saying, that it's that the participants or the candidates, they live in
Mhm.
community
That's
during the
right.
program. So, and
That's right.
that sounds like it's an integral part of the formation.
Right. And that's it, is that they come away for a year just to be with the Lord, like the
Mhm.
disciples would have spent their time with Jesus to learn his ways. And then he would send them out. So we actually get practice in being sent out. The students go out to actually the Catholic schools during the year and share the gospel news, really the story of invitation to know Christ,
Right.
in retreats to the students in Catholic schools. So that's one of the ways that we do outreach.
Yeah,
But
wonderful. So, Louis, we don't have time to go through the whole curriculum, but can you kind of give us the highlights or like the big picture of what sorts, because it's a very full and rich curriculum.
Yeah, I'll give a kind of a summary. There's two main focuses. Basically, after John Paul II, it's holiness and mission. Like we
Mm,
need to grow on our personal relationship with Christ to be able to share the faith. So the holiness part of it is rather the larger part in terms of the time spent, which we divide into four big sections: spirituality, and that essentially adds up to how can I let Jesus be the Lord of my life? Where am I right now with my relationship with God? What are some of the impediments? What are the challenges? How have I been hurt in the past? It kind of disturbs my sense of who God is and what He's like. All these things are part of the spirituality part
hmm
under holiness.
hmm
We have a prayer portion where we talk about prayer, and we do a lot of prayer together
Yeah.
to help give God more of ourselves and to hear what He's speaking to us. Um, Community life is, in fact, another one. So we don't just live in community, but we need to learn about what it is to live in community and get along with one another
hmm
and deal, because we all need to grow in our ability to live with other people. It's just standard procedure for all people.
Right. Yeah.
And there's a healing portion where none of us had perfect parents or perfect siblings, et cetera, et cetera. That goes without saying. And we're a little bit hurt, and sometimes it damages our image of God.
hmm
So we go through a large healing portion as well. And the final portion of the holiness is
Catholic formation.
Catholic teachings, yeah, which is a
Yes.
little more, that's the most intellectual portion of it. But we don't want to just be intellectual. We really want to help us each to walk more closely with the Lord. That's the holiness section. The other portion is mission. And
Okay.
that's where we learn how to evangelize. What does it mean to evangelize?
Skills.
Skills and abilities and
Interesting.
some basic knowledge and know-how. And the part two of mission is go out and do it.
Mhm.
So the mission portion is the biggest focus in the fall is more on the holiness, although both are in both sections. And
Right.
then this spring we have a focus on mission.
Mhm.
So just practically then, Mary, can I call them students, I guess, or the
Yeah,
participants? The
we
participants.
are students. We
Yeah.
call them students. Yeah.
They come together from Monday to Friday and they live in community and they go to classes together, or some of the classes done in conjunction with the seminary or with at the university, or is it all
Yeah.
just together, just the small group?
Right. Well, we arrive Sunday evening from our
Okay.
homes.
Mhm.
We stay in at St. Malo till Friday afternoon, and then go back home, or people would go to their host homes if they're from out of
If they're
town.
from out of town, yeah.
Yeah. And we would so we're taking 3 hours basically of classes a day, 2 in the morning, 2 hours in the morning, and 1 in the evening, most evenings. And other than that, it's, meals and community life
Yeah.
throughout the day. So
Sounds
we
like
do.
sorry, it sounds a little bit like homeschooling. Seminary homeschooling meets the seminary.
Hey, good. Maybe that
I
I'll have
like
to
it.
do some marketing. But we actually go into the city too. We invite other
Yes.
people to come in and take our classes once a week in the city, or sometimes we do invite them out, but it's
Right.
there to go
Right.
to.
And you and Louis are there with them Sunday night to Friday as
We are.
like the house parents. You're the mentors.
Yes, that's right.
House parents, and I guess just overseeing the program, right?
Yeah.
So
we find teachers for the various topics,
Right.
and they come into the school. So the only time we step out of the school for, as Mary just finished saying, is we go into the city. Last year, it was a topic called holistic sexuality, which of course drew the attention of young adults who would really like to learn more about their faith and living out their life with respect to sexuality. So, and we intend on continuing that as well, once a week.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're around. We do some of the teaching. We bring in teachers, and we use also resources from
Online.
excellent online facilities,
Okay. Yeah.
And we also work closely with the parish, because
Okay. Yeah, of course. That's
we
important.
want
That's
to
part of
be united with the parish
Yes.
next door.
Of course. Right.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's a really rich combination of everything. And I don't mean that as a mishmash. I mean that in a good way. So there's resources that exist. Why reinvent the wheel? You sometimes bring in
Yeah.
professors. Sometimes it's in-house. Sometimes you go out. There's
Right.
community. There's living. There's intellectual formation, spiritual formation, personal formation,
Right.
and emotional and psychosocial and all that, which is really important.
Right.
And for me, I think the most important thing is living in community. Anything else that we're forgetting that people need to know? Because you're accepting applications right now for September, correct?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Go ahead if you want.
The school year starts early September up until December. There's a Christmas break. People would go home for the
Right.
Christmas break,
Okay.
return in January, and carry on until the end of April.
Right. And you did say that people can come from out of town, obviously, and if they do, then they're able to stay with host families. But you were going to say something else?
Well, just that they can, if they apply online, they can actually see the application would be sent to the executive director's office, and they will alert us, and then we'll provide an interview, and then pending how that interview goes, which generally they're great. We
Right.
would let the person know that they'd be welcome to come on board.
And do they have to be university age, or is it for anyone? I mean, I guess they have to be out of high school.
That's precisely the only requirement is to have finished high school. I think most students would come once finishing high school before they start university. We have some who have started university and want to take a year's break and grow in their faith. So it's open. It's more for single people. All that information is on the website, but
Yes.
young adults, generally speaking, young single adults.
Sounds like a wonderful, wonderful program. And I'm amazed that I hadn't heard of it if it was running in 1992. But better late than never. I'm going to leave all the information, the website and all that afterwards. So thank you for joining us today to tell us all about it.
Great.
Thank you for having us. We
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
us.
You'll have to come back next year so we can keep reminding people as the program grows.
We'd love to.
Yeah, it'd be great. And anyone can check the website with all the information on curriculum and
Yes,
details.
absolutely.
So, yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Pedro.
Thank you, Louis and Mary Richard.
Okay, God bless.
God bless.
That was a conversation I had with Mary and Louis Richard, program directors at the Discipleship Formation Program of the Catholic School of Evangelization of the Archdiocese of Saint-Boniface in Manitoba. You can learn more and apply. They're taking applications right now for the program at catholicway.net. Now, in 2010, we featured the Richard family on the Salt and Light Hour when they put out their album, Calling You. I recently listened to that conversation, and you can listen to it as well on our website. I'll post a link to that program with this program. It's also good to hear that Mary and Louis are still very involved in the church, and now with this new initiative of the Discipleship Formation Program. I hope that that is interesting to some of you. Again, you can find out more at catholicway.net. Maybe you're being called. Here now, to take us out, is the Richard family from 2010 with the title track of their album, Calling You.
Calling you, loving you, follow me, my children, come to me, pray to me, and you will see my love. I am your Father, says the Lord. I'll always watch and care for you. For you are my child. Just give your life to me, as I have done for you, and I will guide you and bring you home to me. Calling you, loving you, follow me, my children, come to me, pray to me, and you will see my love. The pains and trials you may suffer will bring you closer to my heart. For you are my child. Just give to me your cross. My strength I'll give to you, and I will lift you up and heal you with my peace. Calling you, loving you, follow me, my children, come to me.
We're listening to Calling You from the Richard's Family 2010 album of the same name. If you don't want to miss an episode of the Salt and Light Hour, you can subscribe to the show anywhere you get your podcasts. Just look for the Salt and Light Hour Catholic Podcast, or ask your voice-activated device to play the Salt and Light Hour Catholic Podcast. You can also listen to all our programs at our website, slmedia.org. That's also where you can find excellent content, videos, TV series, resources, and a wonderful blog. That's slmedia.org. You can follow me on your social media, and you can reach me via email, pedro@slmedia.org. Thank you for tuning in and for spending a little bit of time with me today. I'm Deacon Pedro, and this has been a special short edition of the Salt and Light Hour.
Calling you, loving you, follow me, my children, come to me, pray to me.